Hey there. If your doctor recently used the words colon polyp, you've probably got a ton of questions, and maybe you're feeling a little worried. And you know what? That's totally normal. So in this explainer, we're going to clear things up. We'll talk about what polyps are, how they even form, and most importantly, why finding one is actually a really good thing for your long-term health.
All right, so let's get right to it. Your doctor found a polyp. What on earth does that actually mean? It's a word that can sound pretty serious, and it's so easy for your mind to just jump to the worst case scenario. But let's just press pause on the worry for a second and get the facts, because understanding what a polyp is and what it isn't is the most important first step.
Okay, here's the single most important thing to know. A polyp, which you might also hear a doctor call an adenoma, is just a small growth. Think of it like a little mole, but on the inside lining of your colon. And let me be really clear about this. A polyp is not cancer. Finding one does not mean you have cancer. It's simply a small group of cells that started growing a little differently than the cells around it. That's it.
To really get what a polyp is, it helps to understand how it even gets there in the first place. It's not something that just pops up overnight. It's actually a pretty slow journey that starts with just one single normal cell. So let's walk through that process together. So inside every single cell in your body, you've got DNA. The easiest way to think about DNA is like an instruction book for that cell. This book has all the rules: when to grow, when to make a copy of itself, and crucially, when to stop. It's what keeps everything running smoothly. But just like in any book, sometimes a little typo can creep in. Now, this whole process is incredibly slow. We start with a perfectly healthy colon lining where cells are doing exactly what they're supposed to. Then, one of those little typos we talked about, a genetic change, causes a polyp to start forming. But listen, this takes years. And over many more years, other little changes might build up, causing the polyp to get a bit bigger. Only after a really long time, we're talking maybe a decade or even longer, do some of these polyps get the potential to turn into cancer. This slow timeline, that's our secret weapon. It gives us this huge window of opportunity to find them and take them out. So what causes that first typo in the instruction book? Well, our bodies are pretty smart. They have these special genes that basically act like the brakes on a car. Their whole job is to tell cells, okay, that's enough, stop growing now. When those brake genes are working right, everything's in check. But sometimes a mutation can damage one of these genes. It's literally like the brakes have failed. The cell just keeps on dividing because it never got the signal to stop. And that's how a polyp begins to form. Of course, one of the first questions that comes to mind is, why me? Why did this happen to me? And that is such a natural thing to wonder. The answer usually boils down to a mix of just random chance and a few specific risk factors. Let's break that down a little. If we look at the big picture, about 80%, so the vast majority of colorectal cancers are what's called sporadic. That's really just a fancy medical term for something that happens by chance, because of those little genetic typos building up over a person's lifetime. Only about 20% of cases are actually linked to genes that get passed down in families. So for most people, it's not about inheriting some cancer gene. It's just about these random changes over time. And this brings us to a really important question. If most of these cases are just by chance, is there anything we can actually do about it? Can we influence our risk at all? And the answer is a big, definite yes. Yeah, a lot of research has shown some really clear links between our lifestyle and our colon health. For example, things like eating a lot of red and processed meats or high alcohol intake can increase the risk. Not getting enough movement in your day is also a factor. But on the flip side, things like a diet with plenty of whole grains and dairy, plus just regular physical activity, those have been shown to help protect you. And that's fantastic news, right? Because these are all things we have some control over. Okay. So we know how polyps form and what might influence our risk. Now let's talk about the most important part. What's the solution? How do we actually get ahead of this whole process? The answer is screening. It's as simple as that. And the absolute best tool we have for this is the colonoscopy. Why? Because it lets doctors both find the problem and fix the problem, a lot of the time in the very same appointment. And what's the key number you need to remember? 45. The current recommendation is for people at average risk to get their first screening at age 45. That age was actually lowered not too long ago because, unfortunately, doctors are seeing more cases in younger people. Starting at 45 just gives everyone the best possible chance to catch things early. So what's the procedure actually like? Well, it's a lot more straightforward than you might think.
First, there's a prep day to make sure the colon is clean so the doctor can get a really clear view. Then, during the procedure, the doctor uses a thin, flexible scope with a tiny camera on the end. And here's the amazing part. If they see a polyp, they can almost always remove it right then and there. That little procedure is called a polypectomy, and it's quick and painless. And right here, this is the main event. This is the key takeaway. By simply removing that little polyp, that whole long journey toward potential cancer gets stopped dead in its tracks. It's over. You're not just treating something, you're actively preventing something from ever having the chance to start. It's pretty incredible. So, a polyp was found and it was removed. Mission accomplished, right? So, what comes next? Well, the goal now is just to stay proactive and keep ahead of the game. After your procedure, your doctor will recommend a personalized follow-up plan. This is called surveillance. Basically, because your body has shown it can form polyps, you might need your next colonoscopy a bit sooner than someone who's never had one. This is not a reason to be alarmed at all. It's just smart, preventative care to make sure you always stay one step ahead. You know, if there is one single thing I hope you take away from all of this, it's this idea right here. Finding a polyp isn't bad news. It's an opportunity. It means your screening did exactly what it was designed to do. It caught something early. It's a chance to take one small, simple step to prevent a much, much bigger problem down the road. So what's on your mind now? Being an active partner in your own health is so important. Think about everything we've talked about and maybe come up with the one big question you have for your doctor at your next visit. Just asking that question, that's the most powerful next step you can take.